What is going on, everybody? Been a diehard Pistons fan since '03 and eager to see this team getting back to playing winning basketball. The Detroit Pistons are taking on the Philadelphia 76ers tonight at 7 p.m. as they look to add their first win into the win column on the season. Joel Embiid and Paul George will both be out for the 76ers, which is huge news and a big advantage for the Pistons. In this video, we are going to go through three things that I will be looking to observe tonight and then go along and let you know what I think the ticket to win will be for this game and give you just a general overview. So for the first three things that I'm going to be looking to see, the first one is going to be, can we finally limit the turnovers? That has been more or less the story of the year for the Detroit Pistons, outside of other things like late game execution and a couple of the other things that we'll mention in this video. The turnovers, they're glaring. They've been pretty high from Cade, but it's not just him. Everybody on the team needs to do a better job of taking care of the ball. The turnovers have led to easy buckets for the other team in every single game that we've played so far, to be honest. And I'm not talking easy buckets in transition where it's a 2-on-1 opportunity. I mean, we've given up some bad live ball turnovers where the other team is walking down the court to go score on the other end. So that's going to be the number one observation, and honestly, a huge factor in this game. Would love to see the Pistons put together a full 48 minutes where they're able to take care of the ball, as in my opinion, that has been the number one downfall so far this season, amongst other things. So moving on, the second thing I'm going to be looking for is, can Tobias Harris get us some buckets? So far this season, Tobias is yet to score over 14 points in a game, which isn't ideal, especially considering that last year he averaged 17. I've said it time and time again on this channel. I am not worried about a 4-game sample size or a 7-game sample size or even a 20-game sample size from a player like Tobias Harris. This dude has been in the NBA for a long time now. We know who he is as a player, and he will almost certainly kind of move back towards that player that we know is Tobias Harris. I don't even think he has been particularly that awful. I've seen people trying to already get their jokes off on Twitter and things like that. I think that even on nights where he hasn't been scoring the ball at a high clip, which has been most of the season, to be honest, I think that he does provide a lot of things on the floor. Just the fact that other teams respect him as a shooter, as a scorer, as a veteran, everything in between. I think he brings a lot to the game, but I'm just excited for him to see him go off for a quick 20, 22 points or something along those lines, because that will be coming sooner or later. I promise. We know who Tobias is as a player. I will gladly assume that he will be back to the person that we have seen for the last several years in the NBA, rather than kind of this inefficient player that he has been in the first couple games. Not too worried about him at all, but I will be excited to see if he can get a nice little revenge game in against his former team in the Sixers, which kind of was a rocky exit, sort of. Don't really know how to describe that. Nevertheless, would love to see Tobias come back and hit these guys with a quick 20 piece to go along with everything else that we have seen as far as scoring goes on the team. So the third thing I'm going to be looking for is, can Jalen Duren contain Andre Drummond? I never thought that that would be a key matchup for me to watch for. I think that a lot of us know, love, maybe not, feel a different way about Andre. Dude obviously spent a lot of time here in Detroit and will be starting in place of Joel Embiid, who has yet to play this year. The first couple games, Drummond has started at center for them and has been playing big minutes. So interesting to see how that matchup goes down. Don't have a lot more to say on that. I know that Jalen Duren and Andre Drummond both are high rebound players. Both kind of have similar molds. I know some people love to compare the two. Some people hate to compare the two. Nevertheless, their archetype is a center. There's some overlap there. They're both rebounding machines. I'll leave it at that, and could make for a pretty interesting matchup, and definitely one of the key matchups that I will be paying attention to, because it would be awesome to see Duren just completely put the work in and stop Drummond on all sides of the ball, which I've seen him do before. Last year in the home opener against the Bulls when Andre was there, Duren really kind of ran him off the floor, to be honest. So would love to see that again. So out of all of that, mention the turnovers, mention Tobias, mention Jalen Duren. All of those things I think will be potential tickets to win, but I don't think any are more important than containing Tyrese Maxey. So my ticket for winning tonight will be just the simple containment of Tyrese Maxey. If you go through and look at the games that the 76ers have played so far this year, which all obviously have not consisted of Joel Embiid and Paul George, Tyrese Maxey in the first game scored 25 points in a loss. In their second game of the season, once again, Tyrese Maxey scored 24 points this time in a loss. And then finally, in their third game, which was against the Pacers, Tyrese Maxey scored 45 points, where they did beat the Pacers by 4. So in order for the Sixers so far this year to win a game against a team without Joel Embiid and without Paul George, it took Tyrese Maxey to score 45 points. What does that tell me? That tells me that Tyrese Maxey is going to have to score the ball at a high clip for the Sixers to win. So if we do a job of containing that, I think that will put the Pistons in a good position to win. I would love for Asar to be back for this one because I think that he could really cause some problems for Maxey on the defensive side of the ball. Will be interesting to see who takes that assignment. I know with the way that the Pistons have been playing defense so far this year against players like Maxey, I don't think it will be just a one-player show chasing him around all night. Definitely be some switching, definitely be some different looks thrown at him defensively. But all in all, I think that's what it's going to come down to. I believe that if the Pistons can keep Tyrese Maxey under 26 points, I think the Pistons will have a very, very, very good chance of winning this game. If Tyrese Maxey decides to go off like he did against the Pacers and we have no answer for him, I think it'll be tough for the Pistons to win. I know that seems pretty simple, but just from the very high point of view, someone who hasn't watched a ton of the Sixers yet this year, that should be pretty obvious, right? Without Embiid on the floor, without Paul George on the floor, in order for them to score the ball at a really effective rate, Tyrese Maxey has to do a lot of it himself. Right now, the first couple games, they've been starting Kyle Lowry, Caleb Martin, Andre Drummond, Kelly Oubre next to him. Eric Gordon got a start in the mix there. So not the craziest roster in the world, realistically, without Joel Embiid and Paul George on the floor. I think that the Pistons compare to this team pretty well and pretty favorably. So definitely think there's a good opportunity here to get the first win in the win column, which I think will be huge, especially because the Pistons then have to play the Knicks right after this game. So not going to get any easier on the backside of this one. If we can take advantage of a game that we expected to nearly be a scheduled loss and win it, since Embiid and since George are not going to be playing, that'll go a long way as far as the wins and losses go. It'll go a long way as far as the confidence goes. And just getting that first one out of the way will be huge, especially considering that there's not that many teams at all left winless in the league. So let me know what you guys think. Should be a good matchup tonight. Really looking forward to it. I will never cheer for injuries, but I can say that this game does seem a bit more favorable without Embiid and without Paul George on the floor. Catch up with y'all soon.